What's going on? My belongings just showed up out of nowhere. Can you explain this?
To put it simply, I sent all your stuff. I'm moving in with my mistress and our child, so we're getting a divorce.
It took me a moment to process what Kevin was saying. A mistress and a child? What does he mean? I don't understand. Were you cheating on me?
Well, yeah, you could say that. But it feels more like she's my true love. And unlike you, she got pregnant right away. Our baby was born just recently.
Just get out of here, you old hag. It's simple, isn't it?
I took a deep breath and decided to share a certain fact with them. Thanks, this actually helps. I've been wanting a divorce myself. Just so you know, I've been recording this conversation, and don't worry, I'll go through with the divorce. But are you absolutely sure that child is Kevin's? The moment I said that, the two of them fell completely silent. My name is Rachel, and I'm turning 30 this year. I work as a designer at a mid-sized design firm. About 6 months ago, I started living with my boyfriend, Kevin, who is 4 years older than me. We both work and split the living expenses equally. This allows us to spend our money on savings and hobbies, so even though we live together, we maintain a relatively independent lifestyle. Amid this, on the second anniversary of our relationship, Kevin proposed to me.
Rachel, will you marry me?
What? Marriage?
I want to stay with you forever. I promise I'll make you happy. Please be my partner.
I had been thinking it was about time to get married, and living with Kevin has been genuinely enjoyable. Believing that I could have a happy life with him, I accepted his proposal. His parents passed away when I was young, so Kevin said he wanted to get along well with mine. During the marriage introduction, my parents liked Kevin, and we got married without any issues. After that, we rented an apartment in New York City and began our newlywed life. However, married life was far from what I had imagined.
Hi, what's for dinner tonight?
I just got home myself, so I haven't made anything yet.
What? Not ready yet? Are you kidding me? Are you shirking your responsibilities as a wife?
Kevin glared at me and said it clearly. We had been living together for over a year, but I had never seen this side of him. We had always split household chores and cooking based on who was less busy, but Kevin changed completely after we got married. I'm sorry, but I've been working overtime every day with a deadline approaching.
I don't care about that. Now that you're my wife, work should come second. Your job is to have dinner and a bath ready before I get home.
Kevin had turned into someone entirely different from the person I dated. But I had my reasons, too. If I were a full-time homemaker, I might understand Kevin's perspective, but we both work and split the living expenses equally. So, it only made sense to continue sharing the housework and cooking, rather than dumping it all on me just because I'm the wife. Then are you going to cover all the living expenses? It's unfair that we split the costs, yet all the chores fall on me.
You're working, so of course you have to contribute money. That's just how it is. And chores are a separate matter. It's a woman's duty to take care of the house. That's how it's always been.
Kevin casually made remarks that seemed to look down on women. This left me genuinely shocked. I had been in a relationship with Kevin for 2 years, but I never imagined he had this kind of personality. After we got married, he revealed a true nature he had been hiding all along.
Anyway, you need to think about your responsibilities. I'm exhausted today, and I'm not wasting any more time on pointless stuff.
Wait a second. Are you seriously dumping everything on me without even having a proper discussion?
It's not dumping anything. It's your job. Got it.
With that, Kevin went into his room. If housework is supposed to be the wife's job, then he shouldn't have any complaints if I quit my job. But the reason we can afford to live in a nice apartment is because we both work. If I just quit without discussing it, it would disrupt our finances. Kevin's logic is entirely self-centered. Still, no matter what I say, he probably won't listen. Trying to reason with Kevin, who forces his opinions on me and refuses to have an actual discussion, is pointless. After that, on days when I had to work overtime, I made do with store-bought food and tried to come home on time whenever possible. That day, I came home as usual and started making dinner. Then Kevin called me.
I'm going to be late again tonight, so don't bother making dinner.
What? You're going to be late again?
I'm not a kid, so why are you complaining about me being late?
Kevin spoke as if I were the one at fault, but he called after 7 p.m., by which time I had already started making dinner. It's frustrating to be told at the last minute that he doesn't need it. He's free to go wherever and with whomever he wants, but I wish he'd be a bit less self-centered. Considering others before acting is just common courtesy in married life. I'm not complaining because you're late. But you need to let me know before I start cooking dinner.
Don't get mad over something like that. If there are leftovers, you can pack them for your lunch or freeze them.
Even though I'm tired from work, I still make an effort to cook for Kevin, and his attitude is infuriating. He could at least offer a simple apology. Instead, Kevin not only fails to apologize but gets defensive and snaps at me. Kevin, you're the one who insists I have dinner ready for you, so how is this fair? Who do you think is making an effort, even when exhausted, to cook for you?
I don't care about that. Being tired doesn't give you an excuse to neglect your responsibilities. That's just common sense.
With those words, Kevin hung up the phone. He understands societal norms, but he's clueless about interpersonal ones. I was genuinely exasperated, but this was clearly Kevin's true personality. I realized that saying anything to Kevin was pointless, so I decided to stop trying altogether. Anytime I spoke up, Kevin would just insult me. I wasn't about to waste my time and energy on someone like that. I had better things to do. My feelings for Kevin grew cold almost instantly, but then something happened that pushed our relationship even further downhill.
You still haven't gotten pregnant. Maybe there's something wrong with you.
This was about infertility. We had been married for 6 months, but I hadn't gotten pregnant yet. Of course, there are timing and physical factors to consider, so I knew there was no need to panic about not conceiving right away. Still, after 6 months, even I was starting to feel anxious. Maybe you're right. Should we go to the doctor together sometime?
What? Why would I go with you? Infertility is usually the woman's problem, so you should go by yourself.
Kevin said this as if he were completely justified. However, infertility isn't always the woman's fault. Men can also be infertile, and it's normal for couples to go for testing together if they're struggling to conceive. I wasn't sure if Kevin was just ignorant or arrogantly assuming he was fine. Sometimes infertility can be caused by the man, too. Let's go together and get checked out. It's important to understand this issue better.
What? Are you kidding me? Do you even know what you're implying about me? Women have irregular cycles and all that. It's obviously your body that has the problem.
Kevin said this with a straight face, and it made me a little irritated. Kevin has always been like this. He decides everything based on his own rigid assumptions. If he believes he's right, then to him, it's absolutely correct.
Anyway, if you're going to the doctor, go by yourself. And since infertility treatments are really expensive, you'll have to pay for it yourself. Got it?
With that, he headed to his room. Of course, there's a chance that the infertility issue lies with me, so I was planning to go for testing on my own. But it made me question whether it was wise to continue this marriage with Kevin. Kevin always thought only of himself, and it felt like he saw me as nothing more than a housekeeper to order around. Feeling this way, I ended up confiding in a nurse during my visit to the clinic for infertility testing. So that's the situation. Do you think the stress could be why I'm not getting pregnant?
Stress could definitely be a factor, but are you sure about Kevin? A man who can't treat you with care isn't likely to take good care of a child or build a healthy family.
You're right, but I just don't know what to do. And at my age, I'm worried about the possibility of remarrying. At over 30, getting remarried wouldn't be easy for me. I could manage financially even if I got divorced, thanks to my job, but there are so many uncertainties about my future.
Of course, it's not good to feel trapped or to be told that your only focus should be the home after marriage. But from what you've shared, Kevin seems to think only about himself.
Yes, he does seem to act very selfishly.
It's your life, so I won't tell you what to do, but there are plenty of men out there. You don't have to settle for the way things are now.
Just having someone listen to my frustrations made me feel a lot better. The test results came back, and there was no indication that I was the cause of the infertility. It boiled down to either stress or an issue on Kevin's side. However, I decided not to share the results with Kevin. Even if I told him, he would never agree to get tested himself. Knowing this, I started thinking about when it might be time to walk away. About a year had passed, and gradually, our intimacy had faded, leaving our relationship cold.
I'm going on another business trip. This time, it'll be for a week.
Got it. Take care. Lately, Kevin had been going on a lot of business trips. Since our marriage wasn't exactly harmonious, I didn't really care where he went. I knew there was probably another woman involved, but I didn't pay much attention to it. I felt there was no long-term future with Kevin, and he likely felt the same about our relationship. If that was the case, there was no point in interfering with each other's lives. I figured he'd go on this business trip and have some fun as usual. With the year-end holidays approaching, I decided to go back to my parents' house a little early. I'm home.
Welcome back.
Returning to my parents' house for the first time in about a year brought a sense of comfort I rarely get to experience, and I truly felt at ease. I'm always thinking about countless things to avoid making Kevin angry. Since I'm constantly on edge, my parents' house was the only place where I could relax without worrying about anything. After spending a few peaceful days, the end of the year arrived quickly. We had planned to have dinner together as a family and ring in the new year, so my mom and I started prepping in the evening. Then, my dad came up to me.
A moving company just showed up. Do you know anything about this?
For some reason, a moving company had arrived at our house. When we asked the movers, they said they had brought over items from the house I shared with Kevin. When I checked the delivered belongings, they were all my things. Since Kevin should have already returned from his business trip, he was the only one who could have sent them. Confused by the situation, I immediately called Kevin. What's going on? My belongings just showed up out of nowhere. Can you explain this?
So they've already arrived. To put it simply, I sent all your stuff. I'm moving in with my mistress and our child, so we're getting a divorce.
What? It took me a moment to process what Kevin was saying. A mistress and a child? What does he mean? I don't understand. Were you cheating on me?
Well, yeah, you could say that. But it feels more like she's my true love. And unlike you, she got pregnant right away. Our baby was born just recently.
Given how cold our relationship had become, it was likely true that he had feelings for this other woman. I had suspected there was someone else, so I wasn't completely shocked by this revelation. But the fact that he had a child? That truly surprised me. How could he be so irresponsible while still married to me? What would he have done if I had refused to divorce him? So, you want to divorce me so you can live with her and the baby?
Pretty much. Besides, you were sick of being married to me too, right?
Hey, why are you dragging this out? Just get out of here, you old hag. It's simple, isn't it?
Suddenly, a woman interrupted our conversation. This must be Kevin's mistress. Are you Kevin's mistress?
That's right. Sarah is a vibrant 25-year-old, far more attractive as a woman than you.
A woman over 30 is past her expiration date. You've got no value as a woman anymore. It's your fault for focusing only on work and neglecting yourself.
The two of them said this so bluntly. The idea of cheating is already unfathomable, but expecting decency from people who can do so without guilt is pointless. I took a deep breath and decided to share a certain fact with them. Thanks, this actually helps. I've been wanting a divorce myself. Just so you know, I've been recording this conversation, and don't worry, I'll go through with the divorce. But are you absolutely sure that child is Kevin's?
What are you talking about? Of course, it's my child.
But I believe the reason we couldn't have a child was because of you. I actually got tested at the hospital and was told there's nothing wrong with me. If there's an issue, it's on your end, isn't it? When I said this, silence fell between them. Of course, just because I have no issues doesn't definitively mean Kevin is infertile. I was bluffing, but the two of them seemed noticeably shaken.
That's impossible. You're lying about getting tested. You just don't want to accept that you're the infertile one.
Do you really think I'm that childish? I did get tested, and I have the documents to prove it. So right now, the most suspicious one is you, isn't it? Kevin went silent again at my words. He probably couldn't fathom the possibility of being infertile himself. But if that were the case, the question of who the father of Sarah's child really was must be gnawing at him. It was clear his mind was overwhelmed, trying to process everything. Sarah, was it? Is that child really Kevin's, or could there be someone else involved?
What? Of course not. Don't accuse me of something like that when you don't even know me.
It's true, I don't know much about you, but I do know you're the kind of woman who would have an affair with a married man and even get pregnant. So, it wouldn't be surprising if there were other men besides Kevin, would it? Of course, I didn't have any solid evidence. However, considering that I wasn't the cause of our infertility and seeing how flustered Sarah was, I figured my guess wasn't too far off the mark.
Shut up. Are you so jealous of us building a happy family?
That's right. A divorced woman over 30 doesn't have a chance of finding another husband. You're just bitter because you'll spend the rest of your life single and childless, aren't you?
What a pathetic life. Honestly, someone like you, who got dumped, deserves to live a lonely, solitary life forever.
They were clearly trying to cover up their anxiety and nervousness by belittling me. I could see right through them. But no matter how much they tried to fool themselves, it wouldn't erase the doubts. I didn't care what happened to them, but I decided to firmly state my feelings and the terms going forward. I don't really care how you two decide to live your lives from here on out. You can do whatever you want. But you will pay me alimony. I don't care if you have a child now and need to pay for their upbringing. That's not my problem.
What? That's impossible. You have a job, so you should be able to live without alimony.
Maybe you don't understand since you can't have kids, but raising a child costs a lot of money. That's just common sense.
Yes, it's common sense that raising a child is expensive. I understand that much. However, it's also common sense that having an affair with a married person means being liable for alimony. There's no way I'd let them pretend they didn't know that. Taking responsibility for an affair means paying alimony. If you don't like it, I'll take it to court. And with alimony from both of you, I can easily cover attorney fees.
Are you serious right now?
Of course I'm serious. After such a disgusting betrayal, why on earth would I feel sympathy for either of you? I'll divorce you and cut ties, but you'll take responsibility properly. I said that and hung up the phone. Kevin tried calling me several times afterward, but I ignored all of his attempts. The next day, my dad introduced me to a lawyer he knew, and I got advice on how to proceed with the divorce. A week later, I arranged to meet Kevin and Sarah at a cafe to discuss alimony in detail. The reason I called you both here is simple. I want to discuss alimony. I'm not here to listen to excuses like raising a child is expensive, so we can't pay. If this doesn't turn into a proper discussion, I'll involve my lawyer immediately. At that point, Kevin, who had been silent, suddenly started speaking.
Sorry, but I'm not divorcing Rachel. I'm ready to change and make things right.
What are you even talking about? That makes no sense.
What do you mean you're not divorcing her? Are you planning to abandon your responsibility to this child?
Both Sarah and I were stunned. Ignoring our reactions, Kevin continued.
I did a DNA test. I thought there was a chance the baby might not be mine, and the results showed a 0% biological relationship.
What?
The baby you're holding isn't mine. You were cheating on me. You pretended that the child you had with your lover was mine. You're nothing but a despicable, deceitful woman.
Kevin shouted so loudly that the other customers in the cafe turned to look, startled. Getting emotional wouldn't solve anything, and it was causing a disturbance in the cafe. The first priority was to calm Kevin down. Calm down. There are people around, so you should be considerate of the cafe as well. But is the DNA test really true?
Yeah, it is. After you mentioned it, I started feeling something was off. The baby is still little, but they don't look anything like me.
So you did the test and found out there's no parent-child relationship. Just as I suspected. Sarah, you've been seeing someone else, haven't you? When I said this directly, Sarah fell silent. It was clear I had hit the mark. In fact, her earlier reaction had already raised doubts in my mind. Sarah hadn't shown genuine surprise. Her response was more of an, "Oh no, I've been caught" kind of reaction. The DNA test revealed that there was no biological relationship between Kevin and the baby. If Sarah had truly believed that Kevin was the father, her reaction would have been one of genuine surprise. However, that wasn't the case with Sarah. Instead, the moment the DNA test was mentioned, her eyes darted around, and she quickly avoided looking at Kevin. She definitely knew something. You knew, didn't you? You already realized the baby wasn't Kevin's child.
Of course not. I thought this baby was his, and I've never been with anyone else. The DNA test must be wrong.
Sarah clung to the least likely explanation among all possibilities. Of course, Kevin wasn't going to accept such a weak excuse. He must have been deeply shocked to learn the child he thought was his wasn't.
You betrayed me. You're nothing but a filthy, lying woman. I'll never marry you, and I'll make you regret this.
What? How can you say that? We're already engaged, so you can't just call it off.
The engagement is void. I can't trust someone who cheats. There's no way I'd ever live a married life with someone like you.
The argument between them escalated, turning into a full-blown shouting match that became uncontrollable. Watching two grown adults fight like this was just embarrassing. While I felt some sympathy for Kevin, what he was saying was completely hypocritical. He claimed he couldn't trust someone who cheated, yet he had cheated on me himself. Had he forgotten why he was even called to this cafe in the first place? It was absurd for him to condemn others while conveniently ignoring his own wrongdoings. Can you two stop? I didn't call you here just to watch you argue. Sure, it's unfortunate that the DNA test didn't show a parent-child relationship, but I'm moving forward with the divorce, and I'm also demanding alimony.
What? The baby isn't mine, so there's no reason for us to get divorced, right? Let's start over.
You just said earlier that you can't trust someone who cheats. I agree with you. People who cheat can never be trusted again, and I have no intention of continuing this relationship. As soon as I said that, Kevin's expression changed to one of realization. He must have noticed the contradiction in his own words. The one making absurd statements here was Kevin, not me. Sorry, but the divorce isn't negotiable. No matter what you say, we are getting divorced.
No, this can't be happening. We can fix this. Please reconsider the divorce.
Enough. No means no. Once trust is broken, it can't be repaired. When I reiterated my decision to divorce, Kevin looked devastated. But that was only natural. Frankly, expecting to patch things up after everything he had done was utterly delusional. I've already consulted a lawyer, so they'll be in touch with you about the details. And yes, you'll be paying in full. Given that I can't trust either of you, I think that's perfectly reasonable. I showed them the amount of alimony I plan to demand. Both of their faces turned pale as they stared at me.
There's no way we can afford that much alimony. What are you thinking, you greedy woman?
Yeah, I don't have any savings. How do you expect me to pay that?
Were they seriously trying to claim their actions didn't matter? No matter how much they protested, my resolve wouldn't waver. I fully intended to pursue the alimony and make them take responsibility for their affair. If you're not planning to pay the alimony, I'll take this to court. Sure, that'll mean extra legal fees, but I have no intention of backing down.
I have a child to raise now.
So what? You're the one who had the child, so take responsibility and raise them properly. You can always get child support from the actual father, can't you? Whether Sarah even knows who the real father is, I have no idea. But that's not my concern.
Even so, it's impossible. Can't you at least reduce the amount by half?
Excuse me? Are you serious right now?
Please, I'm a victim here too. I was deceived.
Their pathetic attempts to wriggle out of responsibility infuriated me, and I let out a deep sigh. Let me make this clear one last time, since continuing this conversation is a waste of time. I will demand alimony from both of you, and if you don't pay, I'll take it to court.
Court.
No matter what excuses or apologies you make, my decision won't change. So, do your best to ensure the payment is made by the deadline. With that, I left them behind. There was no point in continuing the conversation. It was going nowhere. Kevin tried to follow me, but I caught a taxi as soon as I exited the cafe, avoiding further discussion with him. I called my lawyer to inform them of the conversation I'd had and asked them to handle all future correspondence. From there, the legal process began. My lawyer contacted the two of them and moved forward with the necessary steps. Regarding the divorce, I informed my lawyer to proceed with divorce litigation if Kevin continued to refuse to cooperate. A month had passed since I blocked all of Kevin's contact information, making it completely impossible for him to reach me. Then let's proceed with the court case. I have no intention of backing down. Since the alimony wasn't paid by the deadline, I decided to take the two of them to court. Additionally, as Kevin still hadn't agreed to the divorce, I filed for divorce litigation as well. Of course, taking these matters to court would require extra time and money, but my goal wasn't about the money. It was about accountability. Not long after, Kevin showed up at my parents' house.
Hey, I came all the way here because you kept ignoring my calls. Did you really file a lawsuit?
He was shouting, but his voice was trembling. He was clearly panicking. Of course. The payment you were supposed to make wasn't deposited, so I filed the case. You also haven't signed the divorce papers. I warned you during our discussion at the cafe, didn't I?
Still, you didn't have to actually do it. Just drop the case, please.
I told you clearly. I would hold you accountable. Besides, now that it's going to court, your company will find out. You might even lose your job. Kevin, already visibly shaken, turned even paler at my words. This is a matter of trust. You'll definitely be taken off the promotion track, and a tough life awaits you.
Do you want to see me suffer that badly? You're no better than a demon.
At this point, Kevin finally seemed to realize that my resolve wouldn't waver no matter what, and his attitude shifted from pleading to hurling insults. His inability to control his anger was just like his inability to control his desires. It was the same with his infidelity. He acted impulsively without considering the consequences. Getting angry is fine, but if you make any more noise, I'll call the police. You should think about your position before you act.
Hey!
Goodbye. There was nothing more to say, so I firmly shut the door. The intercom kept ringing for a while, but I ignored it. Eventually, Kevin gave up and left. A week later, the alimony payment was finally deposited. My lawyer told me that both Kevin and Sarah had taken out loans to make the payment, but I felt no sympathy. Apparently, Sarah, also frightened by the prospect of court, had made her payment as well, resolving the alimony issue. With my lawyer present, Kevin finally signed the divorce papers. I submitted them to the local office, officially finalizing the divorce. Now that everything was settled, I deleted all of Kevin's contact information. I had only blocked Kevin's contact information before so that I could reach him if something came up. However, now there's no longer any need to contact him. With this, my ties to Kevin have been completely severed, and I feel a small sense of relief. Since I'd been staying at my parents' house since the end of the year, I decided to formally update them on everything that had happened. It's all over now. Thanks so much for all your support.
That's good to hear. I'm really glad.
A man like him. You were right to divorce him.
My parents were even angrier at what Kevin had done than I was, and they supported me throughout the ordeal. Incidentally, I later heard through the grapevine that Kevin couldn't handle his position at work anymore and chose to quit. However, with no notable skills and a questionable character, there aren't many companies willing to hire someone like him. Apparently, he's now registered with a temp agency and working temporary jobs. As for Sarah, raising a child while repaying debts proved impossible, so she ended up leaving the child with her parents. She's reportedly working both day and night jobs to cover child support and pay off her debts, with only a few $100s left each month. From that, she still has to pay for her phone and food, leaving her with no days off. It seems she's struggling a lot, but it's entirely self-inflicted. I hope they continue to suffer and come to realize the weight of what they've done. As for me, I used part of the alimony I received to take my parents on a family trip, and I'm currently enjoying life at home with them. I haven't had any significant romantic encounters since then, but I've decided not to be overly fixated on marriage. Without unnecessary stress at home, my work is thriving as well. I've been entrusted with the largest project in my company, and my personal and professional life are both fulfilling. I do believe that marriage, having children, and building a family are wonderful. But living with my parents is equally joyful and irreplaceable. I don't know what the future holds, but I want to savor the happiness I have now without rushing into anything.